More normal law. Order, please, this regular meeting of the Joshua Basin Water District Board of Directors for February 21, 2024 is now in session at 5:32. Please join me in the pledge of allegiance. The flag is just here. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you very much. Nomination of a quorum. General Manager Johnson, a roll call, please.
President Fluin,
Present.
Vice President Doolittle. Here. Director Fick.
Here.
Director Shorts.
Here.
Director Jarlsberg.
Absent.
Jarlsberg absent, but no quorum.
And since, well, we don't know, but we don't have any indication of remote participation so far.
Approval of the agenda.
Hmm.
Okay.
And 3, approval of the agenda. Is there a motion to approve this evening's agenda?
I'll move that we approve the agenda.
I'll
second.
Thank you very much. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, motion carried. Public comment. This designated time is for members of the public to provide comments on any district-related matter, whether appearing on the agenda or not. Under provisions of the Brown Act, the board is prohibited from taking action on items not listed on the agenda. At the discretion of the board president, however, comments on a particular agenda item may be deferred until that item is heard. Is there any public comment? Hearing none, do we have any electronic voicemail or written communication?
None to my knowledge.
Thank you very much. Comment time is now closed. Number 5, consent calendar. Consent calendar items are expected to be routine and non-controversial, to be acted upon by the board at one time without discussion. If a board member would like an item handled separately, it will be removed from the consent calendar, from the consent agenda, that is, for separate action. The items today are the draft meeting minutes from the Board of Directors meeting for February 7, and also the check register for December of 23. Does anyone want to remove an item from the consent calendar for discussion? Is that a negative?
Negatory.
Very well. Is there a motion from the board to approve the consent calendar?
I'll make the motion.
Cool.
I'll second.
And we have a second. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, motion carried. We'll skip item 6 since there's nothing pulled from the consent calendar. And under presentations, item 7, we have nothing. Is that so?
That's correct.
Thank you very much. The we have Mr. Sturdivant with us.
This caller on the Zoom call, is that Gary? Here, so I just asked Director of Ops Nazario to step out and call Gary to see
There he
where
is.
he is. All right, very good. That was good timing.
Pieces. Okay, once again, the action calendar, item number 8, is local hazard mitigation plan presented by General Manager Sarah Johnson. Please.
Thank you and good evening. So tonight we are presenting to you a final draft, and keep in mind it's still a draft version of the hazard mitigation plan, which is our current one in place is due to expire in 2024, June of this year. Staff started in June of 2023 last year to work on the new hazard mitigation plan to replace the expiring one. After gathering information from multiple sources, including the board of directors, we are presenting you a final draft version. Keep in mind tonight that you can adopt this version with changes. So when you go to adopt the resolution, it can be moved to adopt resolution, et cetera, with the following changes, and we can put those in there as long as Gary Sturtevant agrees that those will pass through FEMA and Cal OES. And thank you, Gary, for joining us. Would you like to take it away from here?
Sorry about that. I was clicking on the link and everything, and it wouldn't let me in. It said meeting's canceled. And I thought, nah, that's not right. So I'm glad you called me. I got through your other way on your website. So good evening, everyone. The changes that Sarah was talking about are what Cal OES will require us to make before they send it to FEMA. And FEMA will most likely want to change or two too. We did one today for Orchardale Water District, which was reviewed by Cal OES, and we made a couple minor changes. So now it's on its way to FEMA. I think we covered all the changes that were required or that the board made comments on. There's a couple of them that were not made. I redid some paragraphs, and there was a couple of changes that were stated. That was one of them particular was it was 2 words, and everywhere we found it, one word, and everywhere we found it was 2 words. So including the dictionary. Any questions?
Vice President Doolittle.
Well, hi, Gary. Thanks for being
Hi.
here. I'm
No
going to tell
worries.
you, you're a likable fellow. I like you.
Thank you.
So, having said that, though,
Here it comes.
I did print out. It's page 6 or page 28, whatever. It's the one that's
Page
marked
6
physical
probably
setting.
Okay.
And so anyway, this was just one example. I'm still finding an unacceptable amount of errors, spelling errors, and et cetera. And so like, if you just look at physical setting underneath it, border is misspelled in the first sentence is one example. In San Bernardino, count instead of county.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, there's like, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
I'm
Yeah,
terribly
7,
sorry.
8, 9, 10, 11 errors in the first 2 paragraphs underneath physical setting. I didn't go through the whole thing because I don't feel like that's my job.
No, it's
I
not.
don't know what it says in our contracts regarding copy editing, but that is something I'm going to want to be looking at in the future. General Manager Johnson, because I've seen this before with, he's a one-man band, I know, but with big groups, producing our documents, and they're expecting so much of us as far as editing their documents. And I'm just kind of at my wit's end with it. And I don't want us to post something that makes us look podunk, and I think, I think it just,
sorry. Yeah.
that's okay. I think it just doesn't look that great when we have, errors like this. So, and
No,
again,
it
I don't
doesn't
think it's the board's job to find them.
Nope.
And for some reason, we just and I'm not talking necessarily just about you, Gary, at all. We just keep getting drafts that are poorly done, and we're expected to, look at it and mark it up, and then people take it away, and then sometimes it's given final and we never even talk about it. I'm glad that this is final draft right now. So anyway, I just think that there's some more work to be done on this, and it just seems like a lot, and I'd like to figure out how we can prevent this sort of thing from happening in the future. Maybe it's a line in the contract that says, submitted drafts must be copy edited prior to submission, et cetera. I mean, some of this could be caught by the software. So thank you.
It should have been caught by the software. It's fine. I'm looking at the document in front of me, and it's not catching anything of that. And I have an editor, but apparently I'm overworking her, now.
Yeah,
So I don't, know. I've got five HMPs going at one time. It's not, it reflects on me. And I'm terribly sorry about that.
all from me, thank you.
So sorry, really.
Director Fick.
I still like you, Gary. so I just
Thank
want
you. I still like you too.
Director Fick.
Well, I'll back what EP Doodle is saying. And directions north and south, aren't they capitalized though? I think they're capitalized. So yeah,
It depends on the sentence.
north and south, it should be capitalized, shouldn't they?
It depends on the sentence they're used in.
Okay, well,
I think it depends on if you're saying Northern California, then it would be capitalized, but just giving directions, I think they're lowercase.
Right, to the north, you wouldn't capitalize it. Yeah.
okay.
Right.
Yeah, other than a lot of typos. I'll pass on to.
Well, those will all be corrected before it goes to Cal OES. Or it's posted on the web again.
You're done. Okay.
Yeah, I'll just echo what the other directors have said about the spelling errors and grammatical issues. But other than that, I think it's fine. So, yeah.
Yeah, that's well said. It's fine. We just have to fix a few things.
Mhm.
What I've done is I've made sort of a chart with a few of these minor kind of things that I'll submit that to the general manager and she could convey these things. What I kind of was suspecting was that there's references occasionally to this being update kind of a thing. And so there's a migration or a blending of the two different things. And there's a volume of 83 pages of this stuff. And it's hard to kind of catch how these things are blended. Something that is updated, in other words, current information is blended in with something that's 5 years old is the kind of thing. So there's 2 or 3 that I thought I would mention, if I can find my notes. One of them would be,
This right here?
yeah, I got,
Yeah, it's right there.
no, that's not it.
Oh, okay.
One of them would be, it starts on page 4567, and it substantially, it says that facilities are not vulnerable, our facilities are not vulnerable to wildfire, and yet there's considerable text following that indicates that wildfire is something that is a concern to us. So perhaps that one page that has that sentence in it can just simply be deleted. I don't know how that could be. Somebody's other stuff should be edited.
I think it's the wildfire is a threat to the community, but it's not a threat to Joshua Basin Water District as far as your infrastructure is concerned.
Well, then it shouldn't be stated that it is farther into the document.
Okay.
Which it does a
I'll look
lot
at
of that. Who's a piece of paper like that? Oh, here's one. So another one that I think it relates to how, we've spanned 5 years here and things may have been changed, but on page 5375, at the very bottom, it said this plan should begin with educating grade K through 12 in local schools and on the Joshua Basin website. Well, we've been educating children in the schools for years. That's something our community outreach person.
Yes, I agree.
And so I'm worried about the impression that we were told about something that we needed to start doing 5 years ago, and it
No.
looks like we haven't done it yet.
That is something new.
And so.
That is a requirement from FEMA, that there be some language in there of how you're outreaching to the community. And I know that you're doing some of that with Kathleen, and it's something you're already doing. When this gets to FEMA, Cal OES is directing us to a document that will pass FEMA. You know, and because technically it is a FEMA document, and there is a lot of changes that were made in that took effective June of last year from FEMA, that we have to concentrate on disadvantaged communities, disadvantaged populations, how you're outreaching to those, how the disasters affect them. So it's not necessarily things that you have to do. I chose the wording because it's things you're already doing.
On page 5375, at the very last sentence, could we change that and say this plan should continue with educating rather than begin? It's because we have that program in place. It can
On
definitely be
57?
expanded on. It's in the packet. It would be page 53 of the hazard mitigation plan, 75 of the packet.
Okay, I'm on it. I see. Yeah, I'm there. Yes, we can add that to it.
It's a similar kind of thing on page 5476. It looks like it's the second bullet where it says Joshua Basin Water District communication should provide public outreach to inform the public of hazards identified to the drinking water system in emergency. We've been doing that for years too.
I know. I know you have. All right. Well, let's say continuing.
Perhaps the should or should continue type thing would fix that. I
Right.
should say though, at this list that I've created of all these little minor things, I wrote this below table indicating possible errors worthy of consideration in the text of the draft hazard mitigation plan. What is considered an error or an issue by the reader may only be a matter of interpretation, is what I wrote here, meaning you're trying to straddle an area between what is required by FEMA, your own ability to use language, and what you're finding from this environment right here. And it's a hard thing to juggle over 83 pages is what I'm
Yes.
getting. And so we're helping you. We're helping you with this. That's
Thank
all.
you. Thank you. It is, you're looking, since the change that was made in June of last year, my agency was the only one that has got a special districts revised or new HMP passed by FEMA for the whole state of California.
Wow.
So there's, and that was Inland Empire Utilities Agency. So, but that was the first one in the state of California that passed FEMA. So I felt really good about that. It makes it really hard to try and put some of that language that was used in another agency and make it work. So then when Cal OES gets it and they read it, it kind of confuses them, and then they have suggestions to maybe it can say this. I know there was we took the asterisk item out that was commented on last time, but then we went back and looked at where that came from, and that was Inland Empires, and it was something that we were made to put in there by FEMA. So that kind of goes, there was some other things that Cal OES wanted us to say. And I remember that one was rather tough because it went back, went to Cal OES and came back to me 7 times. And that's very unheard of. Once or twice it's definitely something that I normally have, but this being all new, that wording had to be wordsmithed just right to fit the queue. And what the new laws and regulations are saying is more geared at a county or a city, because other states, and it's a fit all for all across the United States. In California, we have special districts. In other states, we don't have special districts. So we're trying to put a square peg in a round hole.
I could also say that we did this in a pretty quick amount of time. Generally, what Cal OES prescribes is it's about a 3-year project. And we did this, in just about 7 months. So, the quality definitely be improved on. But the biggest part is we don't want to be with an expired hazard mitigation plan. We want to have one in place.
Now, I appreciate the board catching these errors. I don't like errors like that. I'm going to have to talk to Deanna about those and say, well, I thought you got them all, and they're right there. So I appreciate that, and I apologize for having them. They're such misspelt words, or especially misspelt words.
Well, again, my feeling is that we're not counting errors until, and they aren't necessarily bad. We've discussed errors and mistakes and stuff before around here. It's only when it leaves here and goes someplace else that these things, might cause a kickback of some kind on us. And we're all part of the process here.
Sure.
And unfortunately, you're the guy that's in the hot seat for a lot of this, but I have not put you there.
Appreciate it, Tom.
Nicole, would it be possible if the board did adopt this tonight, if they could do it with the corrections that they have provided to me, and any other corrections that we do need to complete before it's submitted to Cal OES?
Yes, as long as the motion incorporates the need for the changes as amended,
It does that.
Very well. Do we have any public comment on this? I see somebody's on the phone there. Hearing none.
I have a question before we consider this.
Go ahead.
So if we approve it and say with changes, and then we get it again and there's still changes need to be made, but it's an approved document, what happens then?
Oh, gosh.
Oh,
my goodness.
And then we have them ready for the next go around when we start to renew this document again.
When would that be?
Well, every 5 years.
5 years.
So we wait and fix it in 5 years?
Well, next time, we're not going to wait until 7 months.
Right,
before it
okay, right,
expires.
okay. Mhm. Okay, well, thanks, that's what I need to know.
But they're gonna, I'm gonna do like I did in my college days, is read the document backwards.
Reading it aloud also works too.
Yes, reading aloud, but
Great
also
strategy.
in college, they taught us on editing documents to read the document backwards and put your pencil on each word, and then you. So Deanna normally catches all of these things. I have not had this issue on other documents recently, but like I said, we're doing 5 of them at one time and getting ready to start a 6th. So, and we did this pretty fast. Like Sarah said, 7 months is pretty quick.
So, without any further comments, I would ask, is there a motion from the board to adopt resolution 24-1061, adopting the local hazard mitigation plan with the aforementioned and discussed amendments? I'll make that motion. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Thank you very much. Let's have a roll call on that, please, General Manager.
President Fluen,
Aye.
Vice President Doolittle,
Nay.
Director Fick,
Aye.
Director Short.
Aye.
Thank you very much. Motion carried. Item B.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, Gary.
Thanks, Gary.
Thank you. Have a good evening.
You too.
See you next time.
Bye.
Item B, memorandum of understanding, that's an MOU between Joshua Tree National Park and Joshua Basin Water District. General Manager Sarah Johnson, if you please.
All right, this should be a little bit more exciting and fun, hopefully.
Well, this is fun.
This presentation. So for over a decade, our district has collaborated with Joshua Tree National Park to educate the citizens of Morongo Basin. We've had this partnership with them in an MOU for more than 10 years. This is what supports our wildcrafting course. It also supports our native plant sale that's done each year. So this is just an update to the MOU. It's basically the same language. You might also notice that in the MOU itself, there's the acronym JOTR rather than Joshua Tree National Park acronym. I thought that was interesting too, but that is actually the true acronym, which I learned this today, for Joshua Tree National Park. That's what they call themselves. So that's why that acronym is in there. So don't give it, much
What's it stand for?
concern. It's Joshua, so J-O, and then the TR is tree. So they do that with all of their parks. They take that first name and that second name and create their acronym. So anyway, that might have been of concern. So I just want to make sure I pointed that out. This MOU will give us another 5 years of that partnership with them and help support our collaboration when it comes to our plant sale, and our wildcrafting courses, and helping engage with our customers and citizens of our Morongo Basin with our outreach programs. I'm happy to take any questions.
Thank you very much. Vice President Doolittle.
Well, of course, I'm in support of this. I'm glad that we do it for 5 years. Because I seem to remember hearing, maybe it wouldn't happen again or at some point. So, because this is such an excellent thing that we have. So of course, I'm in support of it. The only thing I would say is, I wonder if we can pull some plants to use and in our front area at some point in the future.
We're actually working on a grant for the front area.
Okay, great.
So I'll bring more information to you in the
Okay, great.
coming future.
As I had mentioned, the California Native Plant Society, the Mojave Desert chapter probably would be interested in helping too. All for me. Thank you.
Thank you. Director Fick.
Nothing for me.
Thank you. Director Short.
I have no questions.
I don't believe we have David yet. I'm sorry, David Carrillo. We have a lot of repetition of names around here these days, don't we? I thought it was a good looking contract.
Mhm.
The feeling of it was that everybody was enthusiastic about making it work, park side and our side. And I like the way, it had never occurred to me before how the money from the plant sale is specifically used. Namely, it goes to fund the garden. And then if there's a surplus, we may or may not contribute it to the park to facilitate the growth of new seedlings and such. I appreciated learning that. Yeah, I think it's good too.
Professional at work. Lisa's gone because her mom's on.
Go ahead.
I think someone's talking.
So Danny had to do what Lisa's job is, which is take notes.
Have we heard that?
They didn't realize they were not on mute, I don't think.
Was that a comment to us? We couldn't hear anything.
I don't think so. I think it was just conversation that they were having
Oh,
at wherever they're at.
okay. Kathleen Radnich, if you please.
President Sloan, on the note that you were sharing, I don't know if anyone in this room has the backstory on how that money really flows or has flowed, but the park is so exceptionally thrilled with this program. They will do whatever it takes. It has appeared, like with the garden, when I was going for the grant from the Bureau of Land Management to get signs on wildcrafting, because there's only so much a person that's part-time like me can do. So we figured if we could get the message out there, the basic steps, cool. Well, those signs cost a fortune. In the park, when I was talking to them and we were designing the message, they said, don't give us back our money from the plant sale for 2 plant sales. Don't give it back, put it towards the signs. This is critical. We want to see those signs in the garden. So they have stepped up above and beyond. And I just want to say the partnership, this was one of those, it started with myself and one person over there, and we were talking about it, and it's one of those little experiments that went right. Usually, sometimes they don't when you're involving two, like federal with local government. But they were so anxious, they want this to continue, and they're having a turnover there. So they want to get these things in place for the next 5 years. So thank you.
Sure, thanks. Management.
I just wanted to give a shout out to Kathleen Radnich, because this is her baby. She got this started many years ago and she keeps it going, and it is an important part of the district's effort to, especially when it comes to our outreach programs. So thank you very much, Kathleen, for doing this.
Hey, water conservation, that's what it's really all about.
I'm sure if I remember if Kurt Sauer was general manager here, was he here when this happened?
Yes, but not when he was continuing after it started.
Okay.
It started before.
This will be our third MOU.
Well, I got up there and talked in favor of it years ago because I was going to Las Vegas and going to their garden there. And it was terrific. Don't gamble, go there and look at that demonstration garden in Las Vegas. It's amazing. And I thought it'd be good to have it here. I saw it on the agenda, so I came and spoke about it.
Well, I make a motion that we approve the MOU as is.
And we have a second. General Manager Johnson, let's roll call this, please.
President Vaughn,
Aye.
Vice President Doolittle.
Yes.
Director Fick
Aye.
and Director Short.
Aye.
Very good. Thank you.
Motion carried. Item 9, reports and comments. So these are for information purposes only on subjects not covered by the agenda. No action will be taken. The board may provide staff with requests for future agenda items. First is director reports. Vice President Doolittle.
Well, I have a couple of things. One is I missed a Mojave Water Agency event that I was supposed to monitor. And it brought up for me the question of whether or not we should have a policy regarding if attending the recording of it is acceptable, because I could have attended the recording of it and reported out here just as if I had attended the meeting. So I wanted to share that we need to come up with what our thoughts are about that. And then the other thing I'd like to say is that as I mentioned last year, and I'm mentioning it again now, I'm looking forward to hearing any project presentations that we have that are going to be in the budget, because this would be the time of year that we start looking at some of these things for purchases or, projects where we're going to want to put some money behind them. And so that we're not, the first time we're seeing it is not going to be in the budget. I know that General Manager Johnson's been working on that, but I just want to let you know that I'm still thinking about it and I wanted to bring it up.
I take it that's it.
That is all.
Director Fick.
Well, I almost did what would be a community service of trying to look for a parcel, a CUP for a parcel. And it seems that the county system of accepted applications doesn't let you look for a single parcel number. You got to go through either time or district. And so I ended up doing 250 pages of accepted applications regarding Joshua Tree, and Joshua Tree has 26 applications for campgrounds.
It's crazy to see that.
Yes. And so, it was on a social forum, and I held back because somebody was saying, well, you got to get a hobby. And I was going to put it on the district map, but then that would be promoting weirdness on this district. So I didn't.
Explain what the issue is with campgrounds, that they're not defined.
There are all sorts of campgrounds. There's campgrounds with 4 units, 6 units, 11 units, 30 units, 50 units, all kinds of things that happen that we don't know about. There's a 37-room hotel planned for downtown Joshua Tree, taking out many parcels, things we don't know about. And I guess will serve letters don't get here until after it's being built and all that stuff.
Well, the well served letter doesn't come from them, it comes from the district.
Yeah.
If it's a large project like that, anything over 10 units, it would definitely come to the board.
Yeah.
But we have a hard time hearing about them too, unfortunately. We saw a sign recently, and Jeremiah and I recently just drove out to look at the sign to see what this new development was going to be. And sometimes they're just trying to get interest.
Was that
That's
the,
what's happening.
was that the Santorini one?
That's right.
Yes, okay, we looked that one up a bit too. That's out of Texas, some place in Texas, yeah. So anyway, my investigations are interesting, but I did a public service on what's called the Facebook Johnson Street Community Connection posting. I don't know how many I posted, but accepted applications for the last 2 days, so. But I kept as neutral as I could on that situation. So, thank you.
We have to do that. Director Short.
I did not attend any additional meetings between now and the last board meeting, so I've got no comment.
Thank you very much. Last week, we had a young man come to the farmer's market, and he started out by complaining about holes that were dug around his water meter. This is a really fresh, beautiful home that he built up here on the other side of these Bartlett Mountains. And he was disturbed because the whoever dug those didn't fill them in again. And it's the last street before you start climbing straight up the hills over there. I forget the name of it. And so our immediate reaction was we would not do that. If we dug a hole, we would cover the thing over. If we dug it in the street, we'd repave. We do
Yeah,
not.
ample pictures to prove what we say too.
So I because I knew it wasn't us that was digging these holes, I wasn't intruding in operations by going over there the next day. I went over there on Saturday and looked at it. And what I saw was a very long, hundreds of feet long trench that had been dug. And it looks like there's a 6-inch electrical conduit in there.
Yes.
Jeremiah is nodding in the affirmative. And those holes may have been somebody digging around looking for connections of some kind so they can avoid poking a hole in a service line or some such thing. And I ended up, and he did, by the way, have to fill all that in himself. Even though the trench was dug, he still didn't, nobody filled in those holes, so he did it himself. And so I ended up spending about 45 minutes or an hour with him, walking around his property and looking at what he's doing there. And I thought the reason I went over there was because it was a good reason for someone from the water company, even at my level, which isn't a professional person, it's just a guy, to go over there and actually show a face and listen to him and talk to him about what he thought the situation was and all that stuff. And I think it was a very positive kind of thing, not only for him, but for me too, because I really enjoyed myself doing that. So I thought I'd mention that. On the B item is general manager's report.
All right, so as most of you know, district tours begin tomorrow. We will have a second tour next Thursday. It's noteworthy to point out that these tours are a massive undertaking. It takes staff from nearly every department to prepare, including our public outreach consultant, Kathleen Radnich. It's a big undertaking. We haven't done this in a few years, so it's almost like reinventing the wheel. So we're super excited, and I hope that each of the directors that is joining us will enjoy it. So we'll see you bright and early tomorrow. We've also begun our annual electronic annual report. This is also an immense undertaking and definitely involves every department within the district. It's a big one. And you also had a couple of items you want to report on adjustments and investment project.
I do. So I mentioned this a little bit previously, but we are currently researching investment pool options. So these are things like CalTrust and Class. Class happens to be the newest option. These are all very similar. However, like I said, Class is the very newest. And we're looking for impartial data and planning to bring a report to the board and a presentation within the next few months, highlighting similarities, differences, risks, and benefits. Sarah and I attended the Camp Presents Investment Pools 101 webinar last week, and we learned a lot, I think. Although it was sponsored by Camp, it provided a very impartial look, it seemed, at this class of products, at the whole class. The class, including class, CalTrust, and Camp. And we also, actually, I will be attending a CalPERS Section 115 Pension Pre-Funding Trust webinar, which is another option for partial investments for us. And that would be to invest for pension contribution pre-funding trust that would help offset costs to the district for unfunded accrued liability and so forth, where the earnings would be applied towards that. So I'll report more about that when we get to this presentation. And then also wanted to mention that, as we knew already, but was reinforced by the webinar we attended last week, use of one of these alternate products would most likely require us to update the district's investment policy. Also regarding the budget, so as we are going into budget season very, very soon, we have our kickoff next week, I believe it is. Whenever we go through the New Year's budgeting process, we also review and propose adjustments to the current year's budget. And so previously we've mentioned bringing the general manager's vehicle and Edison budget adjustments to the board. At this point, we are thinking that we should just incorporate those into the regular budget review that we'll be doing starting very soon. And unless we hear otherwise in feedback, but that was my report on the budget.
Thank you, Anne. So the second part of my report will be about meetings attended. The board had asked me recently to present some information on meetings that I attend in between our board meetings. So I attended along with Anne the Camp presentation. We'll continue that investment project research and bring something to the board soon with all of that information so that we can make a decision on how the investments will be handled. On the 8th of the month, I attended MUSD Superintendent Community Advisory Council meeting. They've asked me to be a part of that. I asked how my name got put into the hat, and they said, one of your board members. So I don't know which one. But it was a good meeting. They provided a school safety update. I thought this was important for us because we do have 2 schools within our district, and we have a lot of employees here that have kids at these schools. So it's important to know how they prioritize and handle their emergencies. One lesson learned from the meeting with emergency management is that they said that their priority is securing the school sites and the safety of the kids. It's not pushing information out. And I thought that was an interesting way to state it, because when we've had emergencies, sometimes the priority becomes pushing information out, but we're not ready. We're trying to secure a site. So I thought that was something that we might want to consider for emergency management in the future. The second part of the meeting was about their school assessments and their career and technical courses that they offer. And I was fortunate enough to be able to provide some insight on the water industry. And I have a meeting next month with the assistant superintendent. She's super excited to maybe bring in some water classes to the high schoolers. So I'll let you know more about that, see what the outcome of that is. On the 13th, I had, along with Director of Operations Nazario and Director of Administration Shook, we met with USGS. And they came out here to discuss a pre-proposal. We had asked them to do some research for us in regards to learning a little bit more about our water quality. We have a Chromium 6 issue on the horizon potentially, and we're interested in finding, is there another place that a well can be dug that we don't have that issue? It's something we hadn't really considered before. Their cost for research is pretty expensive, but it is something that should possibly be considered. So I've asked them to put a presentation together to bring to the board. That'll probably be in the late spring, early summer timeframe. They're very interesting, and they speak at a level that everybody can understand, which I really appreciate, because sometimes the science speak can get a little bit too technical. Then also I was invited to be at a USGS marketing meeting, and they asked me to do an interview to talk about how our interactions have been. So if you go to their website, you might find that interview on there. So that is the end of my report.
Thank you very much.
I have a question. I see that we have some other people that have joined the meeting remotely, and I just didn't know, I know that it used to be on previous agendas. I mean, they missed the opportunity for public comment, but we could still ask them if there was a public comment, right? Couldn't we?
Yes, you can.
Okay, I just didn't know if you wanted to do that.
Yes. Any new guests that have arrived on Zoom? Do we have any public comment from anyone?
If you do have public comment, if you raise your hand on the Zoom, it should help us know who needs to speak.
No comment there. Hearing none. We do have our, the chairperson of the Citizens Advisory Council just arrived from work, and he's missed all the excitement, but do you have anything topical that you want to say, David?
Yeah.
Very well, thank you. Okay. Item 10, closed session. I will pause this regular meeting of the, for a closed session pursuant to Government Code Section 54957B1, public performance evaluation, performance evaluation of the general manager. Following the closed session, the board will return. I will reopen the public meeting and there will be a report on actions taken. So we are pausing now at 6:18.
Nicole, do you know if Jeff is available?
I was just about to say, Jeff was asking for the link for closed session, if it's gonna be a separate one, or is it gonna be a breakout room from this Zoom?
I will send him a separate Teams link in just a moment.
Beautiful. Okay, I will let him know.
Do all that.
Thank you.
Joshua Basin Water District Board of Directors meeting is back in session at 7:05. General Counsel Jeff Hoskinson, please report out on any actions taken, please, if any.
The board met in closed session on item 10 as agendized for a performance evaluation of the general manager. The board took no reportable action in closed session, but does have agendized now the potential for considering contract and salary modifications as desired.
Thank you very much. Okay, we've completed that. Item 11, is there a motion to adjourn this meeting?
Oh, wait a minute, we were gonna.
Yeah.
I was gonna say something, wasn't it?
Oh, I forgot already, sorry.
That's okay. I'm looking for my notes.
We're still in open session. There's still a report.
Yes, we're still on item 10. It's just the second half now, the open session component.
I didn't expect this to go well.
Yeah, sorry about that, yeah.
Not at all.
I can't find it. Can I read it next time?
Sure.
Okay, yeah, unless you have it. That's okay. Well, I'll do it next time. Sorry about that. Okay, so are we reporting out from the meeting? Yeah,
Not, well, there's
Okay.
no reportable action in the closed session.
Right.
No, it's open session for you to discuss any contract modifications or salary adjustments.
okay. So, shall I speak? Go ahead. Shall I go ahead?
Yeah, go ahead. We'll embarrass
Okay,
you.
General Manager Johnson, the board has been extremely satisfied with the work that you have done in this position, certainly since you started and certainly in the past year. And we find you a very valuable asset and appreciate the the high moral ground that you take on things and the fantastic leadership that you provide, which is evident in the surveys that show that you have such support from the staff. We did do a board sort of where we went through your goals and rated you on some different things. And nearly all of them were exceeds expectations, outstanding, or, exceptional. And it was a very impressive quantitative data, I thought. And some of the board members that are here can certainly share what their feedback was. But again, I think that we're delighted at how you're representing JBWD to the public, how you are improving yourself with your schooling, and your knowledge of what is happening in the field, along with what is happening administratively, is very impressive. So, anyone else?
Well, I'll second that. And being the newbie here, I'm impressed, suitably impressed with what's happening. And I didn't see what happened with Mark Band beforehand, but I've heard things. And I feel very confident in the staff and in the general manager and what's going on.
Director Short.
I feel like this district is in great hands right now. I was just like earlier today when we were in closed session, I'm not going to comment on it, but one of my biggest takeaways from you is your integrity. And I think that is, you're somebody that we can trust, and you're not going to, sorry, I didn't have anything prepared. But yeah, I'm very impressed with your work ethic and your integrity and everything you've done for the district.
Thank you.
Well, we have a general manager that came to us through very hard times. And you couldn't make a movie about what it was like when she first took the reins of the district. And I think it's incumbent upon the board to do all reasonable things, responsible things, to make sure that she stays here.
And related to that, the board has approved a bonus for this year for you. Am I allowed to say the amount?
Well, you actually still have to take action if you'd like to do
Oh,
that. So
okay.
you
All right.
can make a motion to do that.
Okay, well, I would like to, I can put both of these things together,
Yes.
okay, so I'd like to make a motion that we approve a bonus of $10,000 for General Manager Johnson, and then an additional $4,000 added to her salary in additional compensation.
I'll second.
Do we want to give a reason?
Go ahead.
Okay, so I guess it was mine.
Shoot.
So the reason for the increase in the compensation is to help cover the taxes you had to pay on your vehicle.
The use of the company truck.
Yes.
If I can make just a brief comment, and it's up to the board if you would like to amend the motion, but to add, I believe we also were considering directing legal counsel to work with the general manager to modify the language in her contract to define personal use of the vehicle, to return with those modifications to return to the board at its next meeting.
So be it.
Yeah, so let's modify the motion to note that General Manager Johnson will be working with council on defining personal use of the vehicle as discussed, along with the bonus and the additional compensation. Do I have a second?
David, did you second?
No, second, David.
Okay.
David seconds. Roll call. Could we do that?
President Fluin,
Aye.
Vice President Doolittle,
Aye.
Director Fick,
Aye.
Director Short.
Aye.
Motion carried.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Do I hear a
Golf class.
do I finally hear a motion to adjourn?
I make the motion, we adjourn.
Second,
I'll second.
this meeting is adjourned at 7:13 hours. 19:13 hours.
Hopefully you all have a good evening.
Bye-bye.
Thanks,
Thank
Jeff.
you.
Bye-bye.
Good night.
Couldn't have done it without you, whatever we did. Thanks for the bag.